Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside Overlord, D-Day and the Beachhead Battles, campaign for Normandy, June to July 1944. This is an expansion module for the Killing Ground. This expansion was designed by Mark Hinkle and is published by New England Simulations. Recently I shared a look inside a great copy of the Killing Ground that I was able to get through the Pay It Forward group on Facebook. It was pristine. It really was unplayed, unpunched, everything. It was fantastic. The only problem was a little bit of dishing with the box, but hey, I'll take it. This is a 20-year-old game that's long out of print. This box is in a little bit better shape, which is fantastic as well, but more importantly, this also is out of print. So I'm excited to have both of these. This will add the D-Day beach landings as well as the build-up for the push inland, which was in the Killing Ground. So let's take a look at the back of the box and see what this game's all about. Overlord, D-Day and the Beachhead Battles is an expansion module for the Killing Ground that covers a period from June 6th to July 5th, 1944. This 30 game turn module links directly to the Killing Ground with an additional map, playing pieces, and rules. It may also be played as a single map, standalone game. As the Allied player, you control the tactical and logistical aspects of the initial invasion and subsequent buildup of men and materials. As the German player, you must overcome the slow reaction of your forces and rapidly construct a defense to contain the Allies within their initial beachhead and prevent a breakout. Overlord is divided into 3 stages, each with a unique sequence of play. The D-Day sequence of play covers the initial invasion and is used during game turn 1 only. The build-up sequence of play starts on game turn 2 and ends when both Allied nationalities have completed their depots. The game then transitions to the original The Killing Ground sequence of play and standard rules. The additional rules for D-Day and Overlord are combined with the Killing Ground standard rules until the end of the build-up. Scenarios may end and victory or defeat be determined on any game turn of the player's choosing. And you see an example of the new map as well as the counters. For the game components, get a 22 by 34 inch map, 280 counters, a second edition rulebook for the Killing Ground, exclusive rules for Overlord and D-Day step-by-step playbook for game turn 1, and then assorted player aids and charts. Game scale is the same, it's primarily regiments, with tank and other support units as battalions. The time scale is each game turn is 1 day, map scale is 2.5 kilometers per hex. It is moderate complexity, rated a 6, and here's something that's kind of funny. It says the game is recommended for players age 16 and older. The previous game was age 14 and older, I think. That was kind of funny. It just stuck in my head. Playing time is from 4 to 36 hours depending on the scenario and number of players. So let's take a look inside and see what we get. All right, we get our game turn 1 playbook. We have our, looks like the second edition as well as the expansion rules tied up in that great wrapper. And we have our player aids, and there's a bunch of them here, and they're all kind of hard to get pulled out without damaging anything, as this box is kind of sliding around. I'm trying to be careful with this because this is out of print, so don't want to do any damage to it. And we've got our counter sheet and our map. So let's set up the map and take a closer look at the game. And we'll take a look at the map that comes with the expansion. It is a beautifully done map, just like the other two. However, this is going to be far more busy than the other two from the Killing Ground because we have a lot of information because of all the different landings that are going on. At the top right, we have the German support points, Overlord weather die roll modifiers, German rail reinforcements, as well as the rail interdiction, and automatic air interdiction points. Along the bottom here, we have Allied Army support points, U.S. Naval bombardment track, Allied support table, and the Allied tank replacement table. Down here, we have the Mulberry construction track and the Allied depot track. Then the CW Naval bombardment track for the Commonwealth Naval bombardment. Then we have all of our landing zones, Sword, Juneau, Gold, Omaha, and Utah. And each of these is going to have different landing phases from 5 through 1. One is obviously going to be the one right before you get to the beach. There's also going to be a beach resistance value for each of these, where you'll know what the resistance they're going to be facing as far as what the value is. We have the U.S. Floating Reserve and the Commonwealth Floating Reserve boxes out here as well. But overall, beautiful map, real busy, a lot of information on it, but it looks like it's very cleanly laid out, so that way you can very simply follow along with it. Now we'll take a look at the player aids that come with the game. This first one is going to be dealing with replacement counters. It says replacement units for the Killing Ground have been provided in the Overlord game. Most are marked RPL on the front side of the counter. Players should use these replacement counters not only for the Overlord scenario, but for all Killing Ground scenarios as well. On the left-hand side, you have the new units from Overlord, and then the original units from the Killing Ground, as well as an explanation as to why they're being replaced. On the next sheet, we have the Breakdown Battalions Build-Up Guide for both the Allied and the Germans. On the next sheet, we have the D-Day and Build-Up Charts and Tables, Combat Units Beach Landing Tables, Allied Beach Obstruction Clearance Tables, Allied Airborne Landing Tables, and the Support Points Landing Table. On the next sheet, we have the sequence of play for the build-up. This is going to be from turn 2 until the end of the build-up phase. This gives you all the phases in the sequence of play. And that continues on the back through the rest of the Allied player turn, as well as the German player turn, and ends with the game turn indication stage. On the next sheet, we have the air attack results table, artillery support table, and the terrain effects chart listing out all the different types of terrain, movement points for non-mech and mech units, your effect on combat for combined arms, ASV, combat shifts, and then any applicable notes on the right-hand side. Then we have the combat results table, and as you note at the top, it says the second edition, so this will supersede the one that came with the Killing Ground. Below the combat results table, we have the summary of combat modifiers, explanation of combat results, and the combat ratio shift summary. On the next sheet, we have the same information that we found on the map already, the Mulberry construction track, Allied depot track, Allied support table, the D-Day game turn stages phases, as well as the automatic air interdiction points. Next, we have Scenario 22.6, the German setup card for German units only for Operation Overlord, D-Day, and the battle for the build-up. And then the final player aid card is the fold-out for the game turn record track. We also have the Allied holding box, German holding box, German variable reinforcements chart, the German replacement table, the British Armored Brigade build-up display, and the British 1st Airborne Division, which is an optional role. Now we'll take a look at the counter sheet that comes with the game. We have US, British, and Canadian on the left, and the German units on the right. Remember, some of these are going to be new, and some will be replacement counters that are also used in the Killing Ground, because this is now considered a second edition. And before we take a look at the rules, I want to take a look at this wrapper and also note that you get the Killing Ground second edition rules here. Not going to go through that. We already went through it in the Killing Ground video, but there are about 4 additional pages of the rules, and we're not going to go through and look at all of the changes, but there are changes in the rules that are noted with either a dot or a triangle, either an addition or a complete rewrite, whatever. You can look that up if you want. You can download the rules and check it out yourself, but just be advised that in the expansion, you're going to have the second edition rules. But this wrapper is not something you just cast aside. You can use it as a reference. We have the combat obligation summary on the back, and then on the inside, we have combat obligation examples based on the terrain type that will help you in understanding the issues with terrain and combat obligation. Now we'll take a look at the rules. This is a 24-page full-color rulebook. Inside of the front cover, we have the table of contents listing out all the rules and sections, as well as the associated page numbers, so you can easily look them up and reference them during play. Start off with the introduction, game equipment, and then on the game equipment, it says new charts and tables, as well as new playing pieces, because remember, some of these counters are going to be replacing counters in the Killing Ground, and some are going to be new to Overlord. Here's the explanation of your counters. Then we have setting up the game. If you're going to put all 3 of them together, you have your north map, which is the new map. Then you have west and east map and how they will overlay to give you the overall campaign. Then we have the sequence of play for the build-up, movement, German rail movement, German rail interdiction, the Allied beach abandonment, and then we have Allied sea landing example. This is at Gold Beach on turn 6. Off-map movement boxes and transit displays, combat, your combat results, naval fire protection, naval bombardment of German weapons nests, and Allied artillery. Allied beaches as headquarters. Support points are all going to be explained to you for using the different support points. your Allied Corps HQ support radius, German support points, Cherbourg HQ and support points, receiving the support points by rail, and the Cherbourg HQ unit. Then we have Allied supply, German city supply, operations, weather, weather patterns and storms, air power supply interdiction, rail interdiction, movement interdiction, general air interdiction, targeted air interdiction in OMM boxes, reinforcements, Allied reinforcements, German reinforcements, and then replacements here, and then recombining your units. That continues over here to German recombination. Then we have returning eliminated Allied armor units to the map, Allied replacement points, and the British-US Army boundaries. Engineering, we have beach obstructions, mulberry construction, depot construction, and then we have repairing bridges, German special rules, German 5th Panzer Army, Panzer Kampfgruppe units, flak corps utilization during the buildup, German isolated units, German hidden reserves, Fortress Cherbourg, German units with special restrictions, and then game turn indication rules, the victory point segment, the transition segment, extending expansion to the July 6th killing ground start, single map to multi-map conversion procedure, and then we have our scenarios. Operation Overlord, D-Day, and the Battle of the Buildup. This is going to use only the single map, because remember, that's what this does. You just play the single map and you're good to go. You can combine them all to have the full scenario. Then we have the second scenario, Cherbourg and Caen, securing the beachhead. That also is going to be a single map scenario. And then we have optional rules. 1st Airborne Division, early German reinforcement release, German setup alternatives, using designated beach landing hexes, 82nd Airborne Original Drop Zone, alternative German Army assignments for Corps. Then we get to designer's notes, and then the player's notes at the back of the rules. And then we have the bibliography along with the Allied and German support point cost summaries. And lastly, we have the Game Turn 1 playbook. This is a 16-page full-color book. And on the inside of the front cover, it has the introduction as well as the D-Day specific rules. It's going to tell you here the original Killing Ground rules not used in Turn 1 and the following Overlord rules that are applied during Turn 1. So you're going to have to remember, if you know Killing Ground, you're going to have to forget some things and instead replace them with these new rules. Then we have the D-Day sequence of play, preliminary stage, all the steps through that. Then we have the activity stage, all the steps there. And you see these green callouts. We've got examples here like the beach landing display. Get into combat action, combat shifts, combat results, advances and retreats, movement actions, supply, rally action, then the German activation segment. Down here we have the German activation groups, independent and non-active units. And then we get to the advance to turn 1 activity stage marker. Game turn end stage is explained, Allied player lands glider units, beach obstruction level. Then we have the Allied adjustments for eliminated breakdown battalions, German adjustments for eliminated weapons nests, and then redeploy eliminated weapons nests with Festung weapon nest values on the reverse side. Then we have advanced to game turn 2, and it says here, see the Overlord, the build-up sequence of play card, because this is only for game turn 1, this whole piece. Then we have our example of play, a turn 1 example of play at Omaha Beach through landing phase 3. Have our preliminary stage, landing phase 1, Allied beach landing, landing phase 1, Allied combat action. Then we get to landing phase 2. That continues on to the next page. Then we get to landing phase 3, and it goes all the way to landing phase 4. And then we are at the back of the playbook where we get the field guide to German weapons nests and the examples of activation group, independent, and non-active type units. And that is a look at everything you get inside of Overlord, D-Day and the Beachhead Battles. Campaign for Normandy, June to July 1944. This is an expansion for the Killing Ground, and it is designed by Mark Hinkle and is published by New England Simulations. As I said with the Killing Ground, the component quality in this is fantastic. NES does a really great job. These counters really pop. They have beautiful colors on them, very easy to read, and they do a great job with these. You get updated rules, which is over there for the 2nd edition rules for the Killing Ground. You get some updated player aids. You also get updated counters. So it brings your Killing Ground up to a 2nd edition and also gives you the expansion here for Overlord. Overlord you can play either as a single map game or you can add it in to the overall campaign. So you can get the full experience if you want to go from June all the way through August. So that's pretty fantastic. A lot of value here depending on what you want to play. The other great thing is another couple of scenarios that are only one map. So while you need all 3 maps for the big campaign, you're going to need a lot more room. This map is very manageable on most everybody's table, so you can play now 5 scenarios total between the Killing Ground and Overlord as single map scenarios. So that's pretty fantastic. So looking forward to getting this one on the table. Not sure when I'll be able to do so. I'm hoping to do it in the summer because it would be very fitting, but I'm going to be in the process of a move. So I don't know how much is going to be unpacked and what's going to be going on during the month of May and June into July. So going to be a busy summer, but hopefully I can find time to get this one on the table. Well, I hope that helps you guys out if you'd be curious about this one. If you have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.